You may be seated. I have to acknowledge I'm down on the floor. This is not where I normally am. We will see where I end up by the end of this. Okay, there's a reason we keep me in the pulpit. So, today is Pentecost, and today is the celebration of the Holy Spirit. The problem is, what exactly is the Holy Spirit? It's the most amorphous of the three, of the Trinity. You know, we get it today, we talk about it as a big fire, a fire that comes down in tongues of flames that rest upon all of the disciples. At Jesus' baptism, though, it wasn't fire, but it was a dove, a bird, a dove that comes and lands on him. Doves and fire do not go together, do they? No. Okay, great. Let's confirm that we don't put those two together. And yet there is more imagery, right? That the Holy Spirit, as Canon Megan was saying in her intergenerational homily, it's a mouthful, that in the beginning, in Genesis, at the creation, God created by speaking, but even before that, God breathed. And it's in Hebrew tradition that word for breath, ruach, what a good word, ruach. Ruach is the same word for breath, spirit, and wind. And yet, even more, some people, some of us, see that the Holy Spirit is that divine feminine, connecting with our Jewish ancestors in the faith, who had this idea of the Shekinah, God's wisdom, and they saw it as a feminine entity, Shekinah. And then we sort of, as Christians do, we sort of take other people's ideas and we make them our own, and we say it's ours. We're really good at that. Anyways, so we connect that Shekinah, that feminine God's wisdom, and we sometimes call that the Holy Spirit. And the list could go on, but they won't let me preach that long. No, I have to do baptisms. Whew! And so very quickly, with that variety of ideas and images, you can get lost in your head about thinking about which is right or what, and debating and the thoughts. But in our gospel today, Jesus says, you will know him, you will know the advocate, you will know the Holy Spirit, you will know him because he dwells among you, that in fact he is in you. And so I think to ground this, what is this Holy Spirit? What exactly is it, preacher man? I think we need to begin by grounding it in your life. And so I'm going to tell some stories. They're about someone else. I want you to think about whether the stories ring true for you. They'll just be three quick ones. The first, there was a man who had a loved one, someone he loved very, very deeply. And that man, this other man, died. He died a tragic and violent and horrible death. But this man, the first man, he was grieved and he was crushed. He didn't know what to do. And yet there was breath still in his body. And so he kept living one day at a time. And he gathered with some friends, people who he could share that grief with. They could cry together, they could pray together, they could speak together, all of which involves the breath. And somehow, in gathering around tables, praying together, remembering this friend, slowly but surely, that passion for life, hope, the sight of something new, a new dawn, emerged. Can any of you relate to that? Yes. Great. Let me give you another story if you can't. There was another man who was utterly terrified. He was so scared he had a dream. He had this great dream, wonderful gift he could offer the community, but it was scary. They might not like it. They might not want it. They might be mean to him. But slowly, there was such a passion and a drive and a power and a courage to engage in the dream that he did just little by little. And a year goes by, maybe 2 years go by, and suddenly he turns around and looks and sees that what he had dreamed has come to be, that he has built something that he never thought he could ever build. Some of you have maybe been self-employed, who have maybe worked on great artistic projects, who have undergone great projects within wider institutions. Maybe you know something about that. Do you? Yeah? Okay, good. Let me give you one last story just in case. There was a man, and this man knew that what he had to do was he had to approach people he did not like, and he had to be nice to them. Whew, the hardest story of them all, I think. So he had to approach people who really he did not like, maybe because they were really mean to that first guy. Remember the first guy who died really violently and it was terrible? Maybe because they were mean to that guy? You'll get it in a minute. All right. He had to be really nice to them. He had to, even though he was absolutely right, and these other people were, gosh darn it, they were wrong. He had to swallow that. And he had to act in ways that encouraged and created peace in the relationship. Even though there was tension, and not to ignore the tension, but he knew that what he had to do for his own soul to sit right was he had to find a way to make peace with this other person. Does anyone know that story in your life? Some of you? Some of you? If you haven't figured it out already, the man is Peter. The man is Peter in all three stories. The man is Peter. These are Peter's stories, but they're certainly my stories. And I believe they're your stories too. You see, the Holy Spirit as the dove reminds us of that yearning in us for peace and reconciliation and wholeness of relationship. The Holy Spirit is fire that burns with us a great passion and a great power and courage to do something that would seem utterly impossible. The Holy Spirit is a great breath that animates your being, that you yourself do not even need to think about breathing, and yet it happens. It is that breath that keeps you going from one day to the next and connects you to all the people who are breathing next to you right now. I'm sorry for the germaphobes among us, but it is true. It is true. I'm sorry. Holy Spirit is something that lives and is in your life. You know it. And that's what we proclaim at baptism in a few minutes. This is not clergy magic where suddenly I somehow bestow upon these three wonderful people the Holy Spirit. That's not what we're doing over there. What we're doing over there is we're recognizing and we're celebrating delightedly how much the Holy Spirit already is in these people's lives, active and creating new and great things. It is in baptism that we declare that in you, there is a yearning and a desire for peace and wholeness and healing and connection. In you is a great power and courage and strength, power that you don't even know about, that can be untold, power and strength that resides in you. In you is a most sacred breath that makes your life so very precious and holy and full of creation. And I'll conclude these thoughts by saying one final thing, which is that this Holy Spirit, as we've described it, isn't just in you. If it were just in us, that is a recipe for tribalism. That's how we get into the whole mess of it's us versus them. But that Holy Spirit, that same power and peace and yearning for belonging and healing, that same holy and sacred breath is inside all of your neighbors. Your immigrant neighbors and your ICE neighbors. Your neighbors who are Christians and your neighbors who are not Christians. Your neighbors who you love and cherish deeply, and the neighbors you cannot stand. All your neighbors have this same most holy and sacred Spirit that dwells in them just as it dwells in you.